Hello and welcome to Plated. Today we're making Mississippi pot roast. It's a special recipe, so I really want you to take a look at it. It's one of the best pot roasts I've ever tasted. I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's talk about the beef and the ingredients. We used a 3-pound chuck roast. We're going to talk about the marbling and what a chuck roast does versus maybe a bottom round. We used a peanut oil. You can use avocado oil or any oil with a high smoking point for the searing. We used the pepperoncini juice, some minced garlic. You can definitely use fresh garlic. We did not use the salt and pepper. I want you guys to understand you do not have to use salt or pepper for this recipe because we're going to use and season the chuck roast with the au jus, gravy, and the ranch seasoning. We have 1 cup of broth and almost a stick of unsalted butter, 1 onion, and about 7 pepperoncinis. You can use more or less if you like. Okay, so let's get started. You gotta have a heavy Dutch oven for this one, or you can use it in a crock pot. You can do whatever you like, as long as it's a heavy pot. Just like this one. You wanna start searing, so you put the pepper or the peanut oil down. In the sear, you wanna make sure that you have the meat all the way flat. It's important to make sure that the meat is flat and it goes in a scalding hot skillet or a Dutch oven like this. And I'm pressing down because I want to make sure that you can see that it's all the way flush against the pot. You're going to hear the sounds, and the sounds are gorgeous. But I want to take a moment so you can take a look at some of the marbling that's in the meat. And the marbling is like these little veins and throughways going through the meat. What that's going to do is, once it's in the oven, it's going to melt down and it's going to exude the flavor. And when you eat it, it's going to melt in your mouth. So that's why we choose the chuck roast versus maybe a bottom round or an English cut. You can see that there. And once it's seared, you're going to have to kind of let it brown really good there, and it'll seal in all the flavors. And then just flip it on over. And once it's seared on both sides, as you can see here, we just kind of laid it down and let it rest. And you can see the caramelization and the crust that it created by just searing it. And that's going to add to the depth of flavor. And also, it's going to add to the gravy and the color of the gravy. So that's going to be tremendous. The next step is you chop up your onion, slice your onion down, and toss it in the pot. It's already got some oil left over and got all the little crusty bits on the bottom of the pan. That's good. You want to keep all that. You don't want to wash out your pot or anything like that. You definitely want to put the onion in all that goodness. And so you're going to kind of fry down your onions for about 3 to 5 minutes. and just kind of work them around, move them, and before you go to the next step. And this is where the broth comes in. And we use beef broth for this. Definitely adds to the flavor and the depth of flavor again. We just use some beef broth with unsalted, really, beef broth. And you can actually start seasoning the pot now with the au jus gravy and the ranch seasoning mix. And these flavors sound like they would never mix or match together with the pepperoncini and the mixes of the seasoning packets and that sort of thing, but it is phenomenal. So once you get those in there, you kind of want to stir it up, get everything going before you add your garlic in there. All this flavor in just one pot with a handful of ingredients. I know anybody can do this. Please try this at home and let us know how it turns out because you're going to be totally surprised. Best pot roast you ever had. And there's the garlic that we add. All the ingredients are going to be in the description box below. We're adding the pepperoncini juice now. And it's time to put the meat in the pool, so to speak. So we got the chuck roast down. And you can add more broth to cover a little bit more if you want. We didn't do that. But as you're cooking it in the oven, you want to check on it halfway through. You want to cook it at 375 for at least 2 hours. And just check on it. If you need to add more broth, go ahead and add more broth. We put about 7 pepperoncinis in, and we're going to add some unsalted butter to this. I would not add the salted butter on this one, but the unsalted butter would be better because it can kind of get intense with those flavor packets in there if you add too much salt. Voila. There it is. It's cooked for 2 hours. The meat is totally soft right now. And so what we're going to do is just kind of fork it and pull it apart. And you see how easy it's pulling apart. And that's how your chuck roast should look. And all that marbling that was in there, yeah, the fat kind of is in the gravy now. It's in the meat, and the meat is really buttery. It melts in your mouth. By the way, the pepperoncini is not spicy. This recipe was originally put together because they didn't want it to be too spicy. So there you have it. We're going to have it plated up. You can see there that it was delicious. We're going to plate it up in the same dish that we had. And you can see here, that's the final product. Thank you for watching Plated. We're moving up. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers. Keep sharing, keep liking. We love you guys. Happy New Year.